Welcome to the Birds vs. Boys schedule release show. I am Aidan. I am here coming to you, and if you're hearing this, it is probably schedule release day, 7 p.m. tonight on NFL Network. This is one of my favorite days of the year. I love trying to predict the schedule based on the leaks that come out. This year, they've been leaking games with the different holiday games, the games over in Europe, and just a few different just teasers in terms of like Christmas, Thursday night, home openers on Monday Night Football. So what we're going to do tonight, we're going to try to predict the Eagles' schedule for this upcoming season. I'm sure next week we'll be judging the full schedule that we see. We'll see how many we get, and then we'll react to the opponents, where they fall, and how we think the team will do. So we're going to get started here. My producer, Vince, has the great graphic up here, so you're going to see the logos appear as we go week by week. So some of the games, like we mentioned, have come out so far. We kind of used a little strategy and put this together like a Sudoku puzzle to figure out which ones are going to impact the Eagles' schedule itself. So let's start with the Eagles and this game that they got released. We know that the home opener is week 2, and we'll put that game up soon. But since we know the home opener is week 2, we know it has to be an away game for week 1. Now, I saw a leak rumor that the Giants could be playing the Bears in week 1. And because of that, it kind of throws that divisional game off. Usually they like to do division games in the first week. Last year, though, the Eagles did play the Falcons week 1 on the road. I think that trend continues. They switch it up a little bit. Let's say we play at the Detroit Lions week 1. So we know we're going to be on the road. We know it has to be a road opponent. So I'm going to slide the Detroit Lions in there as the opener for our team. All right, now week 2 has been announced. I've definitely counted towards my total at the end if it works out. But we know Monday Night Football, week 2, home opener for the Eagles. They will be playing the Minnesota Vikings. That was already announced. But that kind of is a puzzle piece that helps us put everything else together here. Now, week 3. I, for some reason, just find the Eagles always playing an AFC opponent in week 3. They infamously tied the Bengals in week 3 a few years ago. Before that, and Carson Wentz's return, they played the Colts in week 3. I'm going to stay in the AFC South, not the Colts. I think it'll be the Jacksonville Jaguars. The only game I know for them right now is week 8. And then I also saw that they might be playing a Thursday Night Football game in week 5. So I know it probably isn't in those middle games because the bye weeks are probably around that week 8 London game that they always play. So let's do it early in the schedule. Back-to-back home games. I've got week 3 against the Jaguars. Now, with 2 home games, you're probably going to assume safely that they're probably not going to have 3 straight home games. So we go back on the road for week 4. Let's get into the division a little bit. Let's get into the NFC. Week 5, I know that the Giants are playing the Packers. Those are 2 of the teams that we would play this season. It actually takes off 2 games because we know that the Giants, we play them twice. So I think right there on week 4, our first divisional game will be on the road at the New York Giants. Now, let's keep it going. After the Giants there in week 4, so keep this game in mind. It's at the Giants week 4. Keep that part in mind, because there's a little formula with these divisional games and how it works out and how it kind of plays out in the back half of the season where we know they do a lot of the divisional games. So that little nugget right there will come into play later as I predict the schedule. Now, week 5, similar to last time they played the AFC North, they played the Pittsburgh Steelers in October. Every time I feel like we've played the Steelers, it's been in October or September. It's been early in the season. The Carson Wentz rookie year, it was week 3. Our 4-11 in 1 year, it was week 6. And then even back, if I remember, when it was like 2004 or something like that, or 2008, we played them in October. So let's keep this trend going. I think week 5, we play at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, week 6, let's go here, and then I'll get into a few different schedule things. So week 6, I think they're going to play the Colts on the road. There really hasn't been any schedule leaks for the Colts themselves, so it's kind of hard to plug them in. So I'm trying to basing it off other things. The back half of the schedule, I know a lot of the teams that the Eagles are playing are busy. So and again, a lot of the divisional games are in the back half too, and we know that there'll be at least 3. So I'm going with week 6. I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts on the road. Obviously, this game would have held a lot of value if they were playing Carson Wentz again, but alas, we will see him pop up later in the schedule. One way or another, he was popping up. Week 7. Let's talk about week 7. There's really nothing leaked so far in this week. It's kind of hard to predict what's going on there, but you see there was an away game there in week 6. So week 7, I'm going to put the bye. I think the Eagles have had late buys recently, which obviously teams really like as they get to the back half of the schedule. So I think we might get an early buy. I hate the early buy. The early buy is the worst, but I think it's going to come early for us this year. And it's not awful, but week 7 right now, when it's an 18-week season, just isn't the best. But we've had favorable buys recently, so I can't complain a ton there. So coming out of the bye, usually you get a little favor. You get a little home cooking out of the bye. It's supposed to be the rest period. I think, and this has happened before, they've come out of the bye. They've played a divisional game. I think it happens again. So I'm going to say they play versus Dallas week 8, right there in the middle of the schedule. That, again, division game at home, week 8. This little nugget will come back to us on the back half of the schedule. It all has to even out. Now, week 9 is the last week where there's really no leaks in terms of teams that the Eagles are playing. When you get to the double-digit weeks, it's a lot of these Christmas games and stuff like that. And a lot of the schedule is there. Not a lot of the schedule, but a lot of the teams that the Eagles have played have somehow popped up. So I'm going to go at Chicago week 9. Maybe that's just because I don't want them to be playing in the dead of December. And that's why I want them to play at Chicago week 9. But I think if you have a bye week, a home game, you're obviously going to go on the road for the next week because you just can't have that too much fortune. It's got to be balanced out. Now, I think they stay on the road, and here's what I'm thinking here. Week 11, you've got Arizona, Green Bay, and Tennessee. I think 2 of those teams play each other. It might be Green Bay and Tennessee on Thursday Night Football. But anyway, 3 teams that the Eagles are playing this year. So we know week 11, it can't be those teams. So we're thinking, hey, maybe the week before, maybe it'll be one of those teams. And it really could be that way because if I recall correctly, the Arizona Cardinals are playing at home. Let's see here. Yeah, so Arizona in week 11 they have a Monday Night Football game, I think. So I think here is the perfect place to put at Arizona week 10. We know week 11, they play somebody else that's not us. Green Bay plays somebody else who's not us. Tennessee plays somebody else that's not us. So we kind of just have to pick and plug the teams that are still available. So I'm going week 10, Arizona Cardinals. Now, week 11, like we mentioned, a lot of these teams, Arizona, Green Bay, Tennessee, all taken. All these teams are taken. We know they're already playing other games. So let's go in the division. Let's go back to the division. Let's see. I told you his name would come up. Carson Wentz and the Commanders. He makes his return to Lincoln Financial Field. Listen, Philadelphia fans are great people. They are misunderstood. That day will not go well. The player intros will not go well that day. So I think week 11, let's just plug that in there. Just process of elimination. There's a lot of other teams that we can choose. Week 11, I've got the Washington Commanders. Now, week 12 is Thanksgiving. We already have Detroit, so it doesn't really play right now, but we know it's probably not going to be us on Thanksgiving. We did a Thanksgiving game recently, and I just don't see it this year for us. Dallas will be playing on Thanksgiving as well. I don't think it's going to be us again right there. So we take those 2 teams off for week 12. And Green Bay, for some reason, had a lot of their schedule already out and just officially announced by the NFL. They've got games that I see here week 4, week 5, like we talked about. Week 13, they play the Cowboys. Week 15 and week 16. Like a lot of these games are out there already. So let's fill in the Packers here in week 12. Again, process of elimination. I listed all those weeks, 5, 4, 12, 15, 16. So we know it can't be early and it can't be back half. So let's slide them in week 12 while we still can. Now, back-to-back home games. You know what that usually means. It means you're probably going on the road after that and doing a little bit of traveling. Now, we've got a little AFC South still to cover. I think this is the week we play at the Houston Texans, and we'll put that one on there. And then it kind of starts to flip-flop. I think we go back home week 14. Not a lot of schedule release leaks for week 14 that I've seen. So you're kind of just plugging what you have left. You know the division's probably going to come at the end, so you don't really want to give that yet. But you know you probably have a home game. So I'm going to go versus New Orleans. The New Orleans Saints week 14. And if I'm correct, last year, we played the Saints in December as well as a pivotal game for us, or right around Thanksgiving. Those middle weeks right there between 12 and 14 was the last time we played the Saints. And then also in 2018, we played them early December, late November. We got crushed that game, but I do remember it being early November, late December. Now, we move on to week 15. This is where I told you, keep these games in mind in the division. It starts to be able to plug themselves in the back half. So you've got 3 divisional games left. You know, if you already put one in for home, that means it has to be away. And if you put it in for away, then it has to be home. So in week 8, coming off the bye, you've got a divisional opponent. It's happened before. We're playing the Trends, and we said Dallas week 8 at home. That means let's plug them in week 15, a December game against the Cowboys seemingly always happens, and you know it has to be on the road because you already said it'd be at home, and it flips. Last year, they played at home. The Eagles did. They played at home against the Cowboys in December. Usually, they flip these. Usually, they flip them around. If you played at home first, that means you're playing away first. But we played away at the Cowboys week 3 last year. So you're probably playing away at the back half this year. Now, moving on to week 16. There's one last game left that is not divisional. I think it comes this week in week 16. This obviously now holds value to both fan bases. A.J. Brown, the former Tennessee Titan, will be there in Lincoln Financial Field as an Eagle, taking on his former team and the Tennessee Titans. I think the Eagles will have a home game there in week 16. Sometimes they just play AFC South opponents for some reason. I don't really know why we play them in the back half. In 2018, we played the Texans in the second to last week of the season. It just seems to kind of fall that way where there's one last AFC team there in that back half. I think that trend kind of continues this year as well. And it's kind of just like your last game that's not divisional before you get into the nitty gritty to end the season. And I think even last year we played the Jets pretty late as well. And that was a December game. So similar trend here. We're going with Tennessee at home. Now, we've got one last home game. I think it comes in week 17. I think we're going to be on the road week 18 because we were at home week 18 last year against the Cowboys. Like I said, they try to flip that. Especially with these divisional opponents. It's always divisional last week of the season, and it usually flips. Like I said, if you were home week 18 last year, that means you're probably going to be on the road this year. And if I'm on the road this year, that means it'll be Washington in week 18, which means it's at home week 17 versus the New York Giants. Again, I had them on the schedule at New York Giants week 4. That means you have to be at home for them back half of the schedule. So we have them slide in there at 17. And then just by sheer math, we already played them at home in week 11, the return of Carson Wentz. The last week of the season at Washington, week 18 is to top off the schedule. Obviously, there's a little bit of drama in that too. It'd be really funny if that happened, if the division was on the line and the Eagles are on the road facing the Carson Wentz and the Commanders. Like, I think that'd make for great television. I think the NFL knows that they're an entertainment factory and they have the ability to make this happen and don't really have to pull too many strings to make it happen. So this is the full schedule just to go over quick with you one time. I think they're going to be on the road against Detroit to start the season. We know that they'll be at home, Minnesota, Monday Night Football. So that should be fun. I always see the AFC pop up in the early week 3. I think we played the Titans there once a few years ago, the Josh Huff kick return game, which was awesome. So I think Jacksonville week 3. Get into the division at New York week 4. A lot of October games against the Steelers in the past. We've got them week 5. The on the road Colts week 6. You got your bye week there. I think it'll come early this year, unfortunately. But coming out of the bye, you usually get a home game. So I've got the Cowboys. On the road, back-to-back, I've got Chicago and Arizona. That usually means then you have a homestand. So I'm going week 11 versus Washington. The reason being, we know a lot of the other teams that are scheduled to play us this year won't be available that week. And then week 12, we got Green Bay. A lot of their games were released, and I was just trying to find a week that they didn't have something on the board. And then week 13, I've got at Houston. Week 14 versus New Orleans. Week 15 at the Cowboys. You've got your last AFC game there that they usually have the last gasp with Tennessee at home versus New York Giants, week 17. And then to cap it off, week 18 at Washington. Hopefully we're winning that game and winning the division. So that is the Eagles schedule. Hopefully we'll see by 7:00 schedule release how this looks, how many I got right. Hopefully more than just the Vikings game, because that'd be pretty embarrassing. If not, hopefully just mathematically I'm able to get 1 or 2. 6 or 7 would help, but we'll see. And then we'll react next week to the schedule itself and the opponents and how they play out. Right now, though, I'm going to bring my producer Vince in, and we're going to talk easiest schedules in the league right now. So before the schedules are released, we know the opponents for all the teams already. So we're just going to go over what we think will be the easiest schedules for team this year. Vince, are you ready to roll?
Yeah, we got top 3.
Yes, we do. We're going to go top 3, 3-1. Let me know when you're ready, and we'll get this thing started.
All good.
All right. So at 3, I have the team that I just went with, the Philadelphia Eagles. So winning percentage-wise, their opponents are under 500 for this season. They play precisely one team on the road this year that was a playoff team a year ago. That'd be the Arizona Cardinals, who got smoked in the first round. And that is the only playoff team that they play from last year on the road this year. So at 3, I have the Eagles.
At 3, I have the Saints. Only because 4 of their games are against the Saints, or against the Falcons and the Panthers. As we know, the Falcons have 0 players on their team that play football other than Kyle Pitts. Drake London doesn't count because he did play at USC. And then the Panthers are pretty much in the same boat. So they have Christian McCaffrey and then a bunch of other guys that also play on Sunday, but that's pretty much it.
That's true. Pretty much. All right, at 2, this one might sound a little weird, but I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I know they have a tough division, a lot of great quarterbacks in that division, but I heard that they are not going to leave the East Coast this year. They will not leave their time zone this year, which is pretty remarkable. But since they're playing the NFC East, it's not the strangest thing in the world. So even their road games in the interdivisional or interconference games, they don't have to travel that far. So traveling wise, this is not going to be that tough for them. The AFC North is always a dogfight, but logistically, the schedule isn't that bad.
At 2, I have the Colts because 4 of their games are against the Texans and the Jaguars. And then their other 2 are also against the Titans. And Ryan Tannehill is the Nissan Altima quarterbacks, which we all know. And they do not have A.J. Brown on their team anymore. So it's pretty much Derrick Henry and a bunch of other guys that play football on Sunday, even though I'm probably going to get roasted for that one. But yeah, so it's 6 of their games that are very winnable. So that automatically puts them in the conversation for easy schedules. And then they also have the Giants and the Commanders, if I'm not mistaken. They have the entire division, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, it's a pretty easy schedule for the Colts.
Not bad. Speaking of the Texans, at 1, I have the Houston Texans because every game is easy when you have a lot of picks and you should be tanking for a quarterback named Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. Every game's easy. You have an easy job for 18 weeks. Lose. Just fucking lose. That's it. And you'll be fine. And hope the Browns lose too. And you'll be more than fine. You have the easiest job in the entire world this year. Go ahead and suck.
At 1, I have the Bucks because 4 of their games are against the Falcons and the Panthers. I could not imagine Tom Brady coming back and not like ripping through this schedule. Imagine him coming back and being like on a year where they have a difficult schedule.
Yeah.
I feel like him agreeing to play again when he has $375 million waiting for him means that he thinks he can win now.
Yes, I think he definitely could. So I sense a trend with your schedule and just playing the divisional opponents, which makes sense. As a member of the NFC East, I have been there before. So that'll do it for our schedule release show. Again, we'll see how many we actually get correct, if any at all, hopefully a few. And then we'll see if these schedules actually turn out to be tough for the teams that we mentioned. And we will continue with this all through the season. We'll probably be breaking these down and have totally different takes for all of these teams that we just mentioned. We'll see. It all comes out tonight. But before then, be sure to check out our videos, subscribe to our channel. We'll be coming to you every week until the season starts. And then we'll be coming to you twice a week. Birds vs. Boys on YouTube, at Birds vs. Boys Pod on TikTok and Twitter. Please follow, subscribe, like, tell your friends, tell your mom, tell everybody. And we will see you next week to break down the schedule.